Hey, Ellen.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So you're at the Village Hall?
Yeah, I'm at the Village Hall. It's easier for me. If something goes wrong, I can get in touch with them easier.
Yeah, yeah.
And they said
Um,
I just have to push a button.
I'm sorry.
They set it up for me that I just have to push a button.
Oh, I see. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having the meeting. I know you have 1,000 things going on, but it seemed like 2 months had passed and there were
Yeah.
just things that people wanted to get together and talk about. So I appreciate that.
And you don't want to lose momentum.
Well, that's the thing, we usually take August off, so we did do that. And I was reading the minutes, and it's like, oh, like you do forget, like you do lose momentum. It's a lot happens.
Yep.
And we're juggling a lot. I feel like we have a lot of initiatives going on, and so I want to keep them going.
Well, you're a committee that actually does stuff.
We do stuff, yeah. But some of the other environmental committees, one of the things I'll talk about is that I went to this ribbon cutting ceremony in Larchmont today, where they became this first, I think it's called, it's an acronym, AGZA, and AGZA, American Green Zone Alliance. I don't know if it's a community or just Kane Park, but basically they've established this green zone. And so they had a ribbon cutting ceremony for that, which was sort of cool today. Hi, David.
You're muted, David.
David, unmute. Oh, David, unmute.
Unmute.
Hi.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Good. I was just going over the 2019 draft and comparing it. This one's a lot stronger. Can I talk? We're being recorded. Should I just not talk?
Why don't we wait till we start the meeting?
We haven't gotten recorded yet, Tom, have we?
Yeah, you know what we did? Because I pressed the wrong button and I don't know how to go back. So,
Oh,
Okay.
all right. We'll stop talking.
We'll stop talking. How are you, Tom?
I'm good, David. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm terming out here, so I'm thinking I should go to some other committee. I really regret terming out here because, this committee has done such a great job. And Tom, I have to say that Ellen Silver is like the best chair that I've seen in 6 years. And the committee is the best iteration of the committee that I've seen in 6 years.
Wow. I swear I did not pay him. That was very kind, David.
No, you didn't. But, I've been here for this long. So
Good. Good. Well, it's good to hear.
it's pretty clear, really. So,
Are
I'm
there
sort
any
of sorry to
exceptions?
leave.
Are there any exceptions to that rule of terming out?
No, but I can come back in a year. But I was thinking of trying to see if I can get on the Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee, because there's going to be a lot happening if the Army Corps of Engineers starts coming back in.
Yeah.
So I feel that that's going to be a 6 year. It's going to be, a long, lengthy process. I could be in on it, which would be sort of nice.
Can I interest you in Harbor Coastal Zone Management Commission?
I was asked that by one of the trustees, and it's, that's for real. That's a lot of work.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
What did you say, Tom?
No. Okay. I understand.
Yeah, I don't know if I really want to commit myself. As you know, my wife is on the planning board and she's now at a meeting there too. And it's a lot of work for her too.
Okay. All right. So send in a resume.
Yeah, I'd have to make up a resume. I haven't had a resume forever.
We have a file. Send in a letter of interest.
Okay, I'll send a letter of interest. I'll tell them what I was. Fine.
S. Roberts at vomny.org.
You're talking about for the Harbor Committee or for any committee?
Whichever you want, whichever you decide you want to do, just send a letter of interest to Sally Roberts.
Right. Actually, I just communicated with Sally today about it, just to make sure that I am terming out. So she said, yes, you are.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Is anybody else terming out? Do you know?
Look at the roster.
I'm sorry. Are you talking to Tom?
I was wondering if you knew, David,
About what?
if anybody else is terming out.
I think Maria might be.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, I think you're right. I
Maria,
think Maria
yeah.
is.
Yeah, I think she might be. Nobody else, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, so Maria might be.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll be back shortly.
How you kids, Ellen?
They're good. My daughter's a senior at the high school now. So sort of like in the thick of the college stuff.
Yeah,
And,
exciting.
I'm sorry.
It's exciting.
It's exciting. We did a lot of, like, we hadn't seen any schools until August. So we did like a whole blitz of visits, which was fun, but exhausting. And she, she's a good student. She'll get in somewhere, but it's just a lot to think about. And then Brandon's doing well at Syracuse. I think he's having a good semester. There's just been some crazy, he joined a frat and there's been like a lot of
Oh,
crazy stuff on campus, a lot of not so good stuff with that, but he's doing well. How's Michael?
he's doing good. He's actually in the process of pledging for a frat too.
Oh, yeah, it's a crazy process.
Yes.
Hi, Renee.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
How's everyone?
Good, good. How you doing?
Does he have a preference? Or?
Busy, but I'm sure everyone else is too.
Did you have any storm issues at your house?
No, we were really good. We were
Oh, great.
lucky. How about you guys?
Hi, Liam. We're drying out. Hi, Liam.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
Liam, I don't know if you got my text thanking you. Liam was very helpful to me the day after the
Oh,
flood.
I did. Didn't I respond to that?
No, you people really helped out. They came. Liam helped with a pool. What was it? A pool drain,
Pool cover pump.
a pool cover pump, right, to help pump out the water.
And I think that ended up, last I heard it was at the rabbi's house, so.
It's making the rounds. I had given it to the French family diagonally across from where I live because they had a lot of water. But I
Right,
think it's made the rounds.
okay. Well,
All right. Ellen, it's 7 o'clock and you have more than a quorum.
Okay. So I'm going to ask approval to open the meeting, begin the meeting.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Hi, Tim. Okay, it looks like Maria is coming through audio. Hi, Maria.
Hello, hi, everyone.
How are you?
Good, good.
Well, thank you all for joining a day late. I know this sort of messes with people's schedules, but we got canceled. And I think there was a lot of interest in meeting, not to have a month go by since we skipped August. And we do have a lot of sort of balls in the air. So I think it's good that we get together. Hey, David and Dan, how you doing?
Hey, Ellen. Good evening.
So we've started the meeting and just want to say, hope everybody was okay with Ida. It was really just so catastrophic for our community. And I hope all of you were okay and your families and your homes. I know that people are still suffering and it's been really amazing to see the community effort and outreach to our neighbors. It's really been nice to see that. But it's been, I mean, the devastation has just been heartbreaking. So I'm sure everybody's seen what's going on here. And I personally think that, while that is, first and foremost, what our village should be focused on, but I do think it sort of calls into play the imperative of what we're doing, which is, these floods are not 100-year floods. They're going to just happen with more frequency and more intensity. And I think that us and every village and town in the land needs to be focused on climate and reducing, carbon emissions and changing our daily habits. So anyway, that's my little preamble speech, just really from the heart. It is just so devastating to see that. And, for the first time, my home flooded. We never had that ever. I've been living here for 15 years. Nothing compared to many other areas, but it just shows the severity of weather that we're having. So as usual, oh, by the way, Beverly Sherrod from the tree committee should be joining us to discuss the proposed tree ordinance. So I asked her if she could just come in and give us a bit of an overview, because I think, well, I know they would really like our committee to support that tree ordinance and to publicly support it. So I just thought it'd be good to have her come on, just give an overview and give us a chance just to ask questions about it. But until that time, I'll just proceed with our agenda. So hope everyone had a chance to review the minutes that Debbie did a great job preparing. So thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
Actually, it was really helpful reading them again, because I was like, you know, it was 2 months ago, you sort of forget. I was like, oh yeah, we talked about that. So thank you, Debbie. And I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
So I did send in another copy because I sent out an old copy.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. I appreciate it.
Fine.
I make
Just make sure Robert
appreciate
gets it.
Renee's work more than I did before. So thank you, Renee.
That's okay. Just make sure that Robert gets the final version.
Yes.
So is there a motion to,
We
Second the motion, or make
we
the
vote.
motion.
All in favor? I approve. Thank you.
Aye.
great, thank you. Okay. Renee, actually, just, are you taking minutes for tonight? All right, thank you. Appreciate it. So I had the opportunity today to attend a ribbon cutting ceremony over at Kane Park in Larchmont. And the Larchmont Environmental Committee, in working with Sustainable Westchester, I guess had Kane Park designated as the first. It's called AGZA, which stands for American Green Zone Alliance, that Kane Park is the first in Westchester to be a certified green zone. And basically what that boils down to is that they will only use sort of clean, quiet, sustainable landscaping equipment, you know, electric. And it was a really nice ceremony. It was fairly well attended. Larchmont is a pilot for Westchester, and Sustainable Westchester is really going to start push this to, you know, get other towns and villages to adopt becoming an AGZA. And then interestingly, they had this landscaping company, Debbie, you were there, I don't remember their name, but they did a demonstration with an electric lawnmower leaf mulcher. And it was really cool. I mean, you know, I would love for somebody to come do that to my lawn. It was half the noise of a gas powered mower. It's made in America, which is always nice. And he said just using one of these electric mowers is like taking 140 cars off the road.
Is it
they run
an
for 7 to
industrial
7.5
size mower?
hours. I'm sorry, Liam?
Is it industrial size or
Yes.
What's the kind of size? Yes, a homeowner probably would not have something that big. It's an
like a
industrial.
ride-on?
Yes.
No.
He said that that company doesn't make the like push mowers.
Okay.
There
Yeah,
are
no,
other
this was-
companies that do.
I could send you, Liam, if you want, I could send you a picture of it.
Okay.
Um,
I've got
this
my
would
own
be-
electric push mower.
This would be for, you know, a municipality to purchase.
Okay.
So Alan,
Yeah.
was there any discussion of whether there was a net cost to Larchmont in doing this? Is it an expensive thing to do and they're doing it because they feel that it's a good thing to do, but it's costing a lot of money? Or is it not, does not represent a financial outlay?
You know, that's a good question. And I didn't ask specifically the cost to Larchmont, but I do know that this equipment is expensive. So one of these machines is $23,000, which is about twice the price of, you know, a traditional lawnmower. So, you know, and I asked if there's any leasing programs and they said no. They do provide 5-year loans. So my guess is that it is a cost to the municipality. You know, it's hard to sort of change over all of your equipment when you have a lot. So it has to be sort of like Tom Peter McCart was there, I think his name is, from Westchester County. Do you know him?
Peter McCart.
Yeah. So he was talking about that at the county level, they plan on purchasing this type of equipment on like a replacement basis, that they can't just replace their entire fleet. But David, I don't have this specific answer to that because I didn't ask the cost to Larchmont.
So,
I thought he had, sorry, I thought he had said something about savings over time with, not having to buy gas.
I think it would be interesting to find out what the net cost is. I mean, somebody in Larchmont has got to have looked at that issue. And then figure out, is there a park or are there parks in Mamaroneck that would be suitable to try this out at?
Well, here's a thought that I had. So, and this is jumping ahead. We're going to have a fall cleanup event. And I was thinking that maybe we would have a demo at our cleanup. So with that, we could plug into Sustainable Westchester and see, what they think. I mean, I think any park would be fine. You could have something little like that Gillies Park in Orienta, which is this tiny triangle, or you could have Harbor Island Park. I mean, it's really whatever the village would want it to be. I guess it's easy to start out with sort of a contained space, but I think it could be any park.
Where I work in the Bronx, VA, it's a very big campus, and they have a crew that does the landscaping, and they have their ride-on mowers are gasoline mowers, but the smaller one, and it's not a small one, it's bigger than a mower that you'd have at your house. It's the push mower, and those are battery. So that might be a way to go too. Just phase out, because we use push mowers in certain areas where we don't use drive mowers, where drive mowers don't work well. So it might behoove us to use the electric ones and start out with that in those areas. Just a thought.
No, absolutely. And, I know that Jerry talked about, again, on a replacement basis. And I think the village may even have one electric. I thought he once said that, but, it's, it's all about a mindset. It's about, I don't know why Larchmont was the pilot, frankly. I don't know how that came about. But I think that we're going to be hearing more about this. And there is a cost. It obviously gets amortized over time. And I'm sure this technology will become less expensive as time goes on.
What's the battery life? Can like it do a full day's work?
He said for the lawn leaf mower mulcher, it was 7 to 7.5 hours.
Oh yeah, well, that's a day's work.
Then they also had some, what do you call the edgers kinds of
The
things?
weeder. Yeah, for some reason, that was only like a 45 minutes to an hour. battery life.
Yeah, the battery life on that.
So Ellen, is there anything that, it's obviously more than just the lawnmowers that are involved with AGSA. Is there any description of what an AGSA site, what's involved, all of the elements?
So you can go on their website, David, because I don't want to claim to be an expert on AGSA, but it really is about clean, quiet, sustainable landscaping practices.
Can I just interrupt 1 second? I just texted the mayor of Larchmont, and she said the machine costs $23,000, and according to the people who make it, you break even after 1.5 years of fuel savings.
That's pretty quick. That's a pretty quick payback.
That's a very quick payback.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, that's
Yeah.
probably sales consultant, but hey,
Wow.
it can't be that far off.
Yeah.
Well, it could be a good replacement option.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, it's nice to have that, that designated park, because then people see it, and again, it creates interest. I think that Kane is right along Boston Post Road, that it's visible, and it's like a very appealing green color. What would you call it? Like a lime green, Debbie? So it's like it stands out. Like you notice this machinery.
Where is it? I've never heard of the name.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Where is it along Boston Post Road?
It's
Kane Park. It's like past the manor.
Before the nurseries,
Before the nurseries, there's
as you go down that hill from the light.
Oh, okay. I know where
towards Nourish Shell, there's a park.
Okay.
I don't know if people could see this. This is a picture of it.
Okay.
Pretty cool. And we are getting that next $5,000 grant if we wanted to apply the grant towards purchase of something like this. So that's, I will bring that up later in the agenda, but that's something that we need to decide on what we're going to use that money for. I'm going to keep moving along. So the other thing I want to just bring up is that this Saturday is the Lions Community Service Fair, which is being held at the Hommocks Ice Rink. It's from 12 to 3 p.m. I will be there. Debbie, I think you said you can come by and help out.
Yeah, I can
Which is
come.
great.
for-
Anybody else?
Oh,
So
wow.
basically, this is a service fair. There's going to be, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 service organizations having tables to promote volunteerism. So Sally Roberts asked if we would have a table in lieu of our usual committee fair to try to solicit people to be on our committee. We'll have it, we'll sort of, just piggyback off of this event. So we'll have a table just to promote our committee. And then also there will be another table for the 3 environmental committees. We're sharing a table. So it's us, Larchmont, and the town of Mamaroneck, which will just, talk to residents about, our efforts and what we're doing. So it'll be interesting to see the turnout there. I hope it's good, but it's all sorts of different, it's like Sheldrake's gonna be there. I don't even know, there's like a whole bunch of different organizations that will be
It
there.
doesn't seem very well publicized. I didn't even know about it until you mentioned
I
it.
agree. I haven't seen much about it either. I'm hoping it has been publicized, or else it's a complete and total waste of time.
What are we having at our table?
I thought I would just bring some of our literature and the stickers, the We Compost stickers.
Right?
So yeah, just,
Should we have compost to sell?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
yeah, I wasn't gonna sell, I was just gonna bring one for demo.
Okay.
I don't have the receipt book. I don't think it's that, I don't think it's intended for that, but I'll have it just to demonstrate.
Or we can get, if people want them, then we can take their names or something.
I can take the names and deliver it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, if anybody can come by, spend some time at the table, I think that would be great.
I'm gonna be there also, Ellen, for the pollinator pathways. We have a table.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh, good. I'll see you there.
so I'll drop by.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. So then next item is just, I have nothing really new to report on this. I just put it there as a reminder. We did talk about this at our last meeting, that there will be a repair cafe. I didn't know if they were going to cancel it because of the storm, but maybe people even have more things to fix at this point. So that's going to be at the Senior Center on October 16th. Again, I think they're looking for repair people, fixers.
Beverly is in the participants. I can promote her to attendee if you want.
Yes, please, and actually perfect timing.
Beverly, you're getting promoted. Beverly, can you hear us?
He's muted.
Muted. Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you for the promotion. I guess I want to start by apologizing to Tom, who's had to sit through my talking about this tree law oh, how many times over the years. So very patient of you.
That's okay.
Well, Beverly, hi, it's Ellen Silver. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy that you're interested in. Am I supposed to join as a panelist or just?
I'm trying to do that, Beverly.
Do I click that?
Oh, yeah. If you get a prompt, yeah, please click it.
Okay. Wait. Oh, I'm about to come on.
Ah, there we go.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
I'm always shocked something that works out like that.
Thank you for inviting me. This is one of my favorite talking points now. It's talking about this tree law. We've been working on it for 10 years.
Wow.
And we're really excited that this board of trustees is finally bringing it to a public hearing. We did have a little bit of a glitch. It started before the pandemic and then people got distracted. I sent around a draft. I don't know if a copy of the draft. I don't expect you to have read the whole thing, but its purpose of the law, there are two main purposes, and one of them is to protect and preserve the Village of Mamaroneck trees, especially the large mature ones, which are the ones that are really beneficial and do all the hard work. And the second is to rebuild the village canopy to a minimum of 40% canopy cover. Ellen had asked me earlier where 40% comes from. It's the benchmark that's, I read in a lot of scientific articles about this. I sent you one. Or
Yeah.
That's the mark at which they think that trees really are able to start to achieve their and produce the major benefits that are associated with them. And if I could frame this by showing you two maps that I sent a couple days ago, did you circulate those? I have them. I can pull them up. I don't know if I can share my screen.
I did circulate them, but yeah, why don't you bring them up anyway?
Okay. How do I wait? That's not so easy for me. Do I? Oh, I do have share screen. Okay. Let's go here. Oh, I'm not great at this. Okay, desktop.
There you go.
There you
Actually, the second one. Oh, I'll go to the first one. Now, this is Westchester County. These were prepared actually for the town of Mamaroneck Sustainability Collaborative, and Ellen, you're the person who put me in touch with this report or white paper. It's 2016 information, which seems to be the most current that's available for a map like this. And it shows that overall, the county of Westchester has a canopy cover average of almost 53%, which is well above that 40% minimum that's needed. It also mentions that the town of Mamaroneck, for whom this was prepared, is at 44%, which is really good. But if you look at the section where the village is located, you can see that the town has its 44% canopy cover. The village of Larchmont drops below that, which is at 32%, because that's down here. And the village of Mamaroneck, which is actually these two sections together, my neck and the village, which is hard to explain to people, is at about a 25% canopy cover. So we are pretty far below that 40% target. Therefore, put that one back down. Stop share.
And we're probably the ones that need it the most with the floodplain.
We're certainly in this flood area, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the benefits are more than just water management, although those are significant. They pull mature trees. We're talking, again, the benefits coming from large mature trees. And these are oaks and maples and ashes and sweet gum and things that are maybe 30, 40 years and older. They're big. Little trees are trying to do the work, but they just don't, they don't have the mass that they need to do things like sequester carbon, absorb water, take it up from the ground, lower the temperature of the surrounding area, clean pollutants out of the air, provide habitat for wildlife or food for wildlife, noise mitigation. They work together though, because one tree, if you stand under a tree on a summer day, you'll feel the temperature drop. But if you want the whole neighborhood to have that effect, you need a whole neighborhood of trees. So this law, or to accomplish this, there are two parts. You need to plant new trees because that's the only way you're going to be sure that you keep having them come online. And you need to protect your existing ones. The village has had a pretty robust planting program for more than 10 years. I've been on the tree committee for 10 and it was already in place. We've been planting in many years, 200 trees or more along the streets and in the parks. We've been, about 5 or 6 years ago, we started a watering program, which helped their survival a great deal. We've been training volunteers to be pruners with these small trees so that they grow in a way that, you know, they're working trees. We don't want them obstructing the road. We don't want them obstructing sidewalks. So we've been training people to make them do that job better. And we've also started taking an inventory of the public trees, which we'll be able to use for future maintenance. The private trees, however, don't have any program to protect them. So while this law addresses both public trees and private trees, it's pretty much unchanged on what we're doing for the public trees. It may have clarified some things, but for the first time, it's trying to bring in some protections for those that are located on private property. And this includes both individual trees on small lots or on large lots, and also the larger lots with a lot of trees which have, you know, are vulnerable to clear cutting by developers who have ambitions. And the reality is, it's not just in the village of Mamaroneck, it's really a national situation, is that more trees, majority of trees are located on private property. A lot of municipalities are now starting to put these protections in place. We don't have them yet. The other thing about private trees is that they have more potential. They're going to be healthier than street trees. Street trees are really working trees. They've got pollution to deal with. They've got heat islands that they're fighting with. They have a lot of issues. They can live as long as a tree in a park or on, you know, private property. And so again, we really need to protect the private ones. In the part in which of the law in which we address private trees, there are several things we do. We've limited the size to those trees that may be taken down without any restrictions. What we've said is that any tree smaller than an 8-inch diameter at 4 feet from the ground is not covered by this. So, you know, we're not trying to manage that. If you look at different municipalities, they're using different benchmarks, but we decided that 8 inches is a pretty full-grown tree. And these are really the ones, these trees and larger trees are the ones that we need the most. And we didn't want to be burdensome. We had earlier considered 4 inches, 6 inches, but 8 inches is a fair number. It also limits the number of trees that can be taken down in any 2-year period by a current or by a previous owner of property, so that even with a permit, you can't take down more than 2 or 3 in a 2-year period, which would protect against the clear cutting in particular. You know, because some people would do sequential clear cutting if that were the way the option presented itself. And then it also has requirements for replanting the protected trees. There's a table in here. We divided it into 2 parts because we wanted to, a lot of the Mamaroneck lots are small, and we did not want to require them to replant 4 trees for one large one taken down. They don't have the space for it. And again, thought it was burdensome. For larger lots, these are sort of greater than 1/3 of an acre. There is a little bit, it's graduated depending on how many trees you've taken down or the size of the trees you've taken down, how many you need to replant. And Ellen asked me about this. You can put it anywhere on the property. It doesn't have to be, like, it shouldn't be in the same spot where you took a tree down, because you'd have to fight with the roots. And if there was a disease, you'd have to fight with that. I want to say that on a personal note, I don't like to be told what to do either. But it is true that we have been living with codes that govern what we can do on private property for many, many years. These are zoning ordinances. You know, they tell me that I can't park a trailer on my property and then rent it out to someone to live in. You know, I can't run a dance hall that makes noise or has dancing between 2 and 8 in the morning. There are already restrictions, so this is not a new concept. Its law also acknowledges that This law, therefore, by protecting this tree, these trees, it's acknowledging that they're not just contributing to the public good. They're not just decorative touches in the land. Taking down a large tree or clear cutting a lot changes the light in that area. It changes the temperature in that area, changes its ability to manage water. That area, it changes, it has the potential of changing the character of an entire tree. And someone gave me an article that was very well taken, I think. It says we should be thinking of our trees as a part of our infrastructure. In a way, they're a really powerful one because they're diffuse. You can put this kind of infrastructure anywhere on the property, a remote area. It doesn't have to be along a power line or along a water main, a sewer line. It is not linear. If one tree goes down, it doesn't throw out the entire neighborhood. So, and then it gets more valuable every year as the trees get older, unlike a lot of built infrastructure, which of course has to be repaired and upgraded and runs down. Let's see. With the recent flooding, you mentioned that this would be helpful. I mean, I can't say that having 40% canopy cover would have prevented it. Nothing would have, been able to stop flooding, unfortunately, given where we are. But it certainly would have helped. Having these trees would have helped mitigate it. Trees take up a lot of water. Going into the Ida storm, the ground was already saturated from having a wet summer and having very recently had a very heavy rain. It wasn't able to absorb any of the flood water, any of the rainwater. A mature oak takes up anywhere from 50 to 200 gallons of water per day. So, a whole neighborhood of those trees would be keeping the ground much more permeable for the rain or the floodwaters that come to it, and it would be faster to recover, have the water taken away from the land. So it is a very important part of flood control. It's not the whole answer, it's just part of the infrastructure. Let's see. Oh, I know. I read this winter, I was part of a group that read a book called Ministry for the Future. It's by Kim Stanley Robinson, and it was set during the climate cataclysm. And it was about, I don't know, it felt like it was about 1,200 pages long. It was not my idea of a great novel. But I was glad I read it because I came away with it understanding that the solution to our climate problems is multifaceted. I had always thought it was just environmental, if we start doing green things, it'll go away, it'll get better. But I recognize now that it does involve technology, flood control, carbon sequestration equipment, using renewable energy sources as much as possible. Your lawnmowers, electric lawnmowers, good idea. Also includes economic incentives. It's public policy. People have to have carrots sometimes to do this. But the green infrastructure is a really important part of it. And trees are really the workhorses in this fight. I can answer any questions you have, but I did want to answer one that Ellen sent me just before the meeting started, in which you said that you could see the value of not allowing clear cutting, but you couldn't see why restriction on taking down private trees is necessary. And the answer to that, from the point of view of the tree committee, is that there are only a few neighborhoods in the Mamaroneck where clear cutting is even an issue, where lot sizes are large enough to have that many trees on them. And there are fewer of those lots available now because they've been cut. Most of our neighborhoods are old, the lot sizes are small. Property will have 1 or 2 large trees on it, and the neighborhood canopy depends on having a really strong row of these large single trees on the property. If one comes down, it really does change the character of that neighborhood. And we have had people come to us very upset on the tree committee because someone has taken down one tree on 5th or one tree on Melbourne, and it's made a difference for them. So, thank you. Are there questions I can answer? Or did I address what you wanted to hear? Yes.
I'd like to say, I saw the draft that you must have written in 2019.
Mhm.
And I didn't see and then I checked out the code. I Googled the code, the 318. And I must have missed the real code,
Well, this hasn't been passed, so this is.
No, I know that. I'm just talking about the original code. I had a little hard time just finding it, but
Yeah, so-
what I thought was that just comparing it to your 2019 draft,
Mhm.
that was even stronger. And I think that that's good. I think the stricter, the better. And I think you're going to get a lot of pushback. Hey, they're getting pushback from vaccines.
I know.
You're going to get pushback from, fortunately for your committee, it's a Democratic town, but village. In my area in Rhinebeck, just barely, but it is. But I think the stricter the better. And I think that I like the idea that you're really involving the land use board, the land use boards, and you're involving the building inspector, and you're also involving more the village manager. I see
Yeah.
especially because he's an arborist. I guess that's
He's
one of the
a
reasons.
certified arborist. He's been phenomenal for our committee. He's really good.
But the thing that and so I really think that's great. And you've also made replacement of trees. You've also added more trees to replace trees depending on their size. So I think that's great too. So these are all great ideas, and I was really impressed with it. We've had problems with building inspectors before in the village who didn't really have the integrity that was needed. And for example, some guy was right behind us, a developer who injured a tree, and that huge oak tree, cut it down. Building inspector didn't say anything. And he just sort of did it before he got his plat approval. And so, things like this happen. So, I think the village is moving to greater integrity.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that, really you have to keep strict on this. But also, one other issue, I have a maple tree. It's not mine. It's right on the sidewalk outside. And like a lot of other trees in the neighborhood, when Con Ed comes around, they butcher them.
We have
And
no
I thought
control over Con Ed. That's
It would
my
be
next
great
one.
if there was an arborist who
I know.
stood there and said, don't cut that, cut this. Just so that the tree is.
Actually, my impression of what Con Ed does is they bid it out, take the cheapest bid they can get, and they just come through with saws. And I've seen them shear off a whole side of a tree. We don't have any control over it. There actually is something in this law that says there's supposed to be an arborist present when they do work. I agree with you, because they damage these trees and they may not die immediately, but they're going to go. This is crippling for them. They've been authorized, Tom, you know better than I do, but there's a state bureau or agency that has given them authority to do whatever they see fit for pruning or removing trees. And so at this moment, we have no control over it. I honestly think, and I know some places like in California with the fire problems, the utilities are now talking about burying lines. Whenever we raise that, we're told it's too expensive. But if the lines were underground, they would be less vulnerable to power failures anyway, and they wouldn't have to take down these trees and kill them. But that's a big lobby. I think villages, municipalities, if municipalities would ask for it. If the county, I think George Latimer would be very much in favor of it if we could go to him and really give a unified request, with surrounding municipalities. And
Emily?
Yeah.
I think I understand that the town just passed a tree law. Is that correct?
Yes, well, I'm not sure. That's one of the ones I compared. Another thing I sent around is a comparison of this proposal to, I think, 6 surrounding municipalities, town being one of them. I know that that's been passed within the last 10 years because I've been reading tree laws for 10 years and they didn't have a particularly good one at the time, but it's now quite good.
Yeah, I think they just passed a tree law, like in the
Okay.
past couple of
Okay,
months.
well, I read it and it's in one of the charts that I sent.
Okay, I didn't, I looked at all your stuff. I didn't actually focus on that so much, but
Yeah. Here, let
I
me.
think that you'd want to try to make ours as, you know,
We
seamless.
picked up,
to what they're
well,
doing.
I read it, that between version 19, which was pre-pandemic, and then we had a couple in the middle, and then version 21, which is the one that's now coming up for hearing. We did make changes, and among other things, we responded, there were a lot of public comments that came in 2019, many supporting it, but a wide range of things opposing it. Some of which we were able to address, and we made changes that responded to that. There was concern about, entering private property, village entering without notice. We changed that, took that away. There were a number of things. And I have, that's another, as I said, spreadsheet that I sent around. But in addition to addressing as many of those comments as I could, some of them were simply not possible, but many of them were. I also looked, again, I went through these neighboring tree laws and picked up, particularly the town, which I had not seen before, picked up a number of ideas that seemed very good. I have actually, if you're really into this, I have a tracked changes from 19 to 21, which shows you where some of these came from. And several of them are from the town. I don't remember which ones anymore.
So Ellen, would it be in order to make a motion for the committee to endorse this law and urge the village board to pass it? And if so, I'd like to make that motion.
Yes, that's what I think our goal is, that we want to have our committee make a motion to support this tree law.
And I
I
will
need to go
second it.
now. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
Do
Maria?
I need to go now?
No, go ahead. I would second it if you motion it. I will definitely,
I mean, that was the goal for everybody, to have an opportunity to read the ordinance. I mean, it's a little long and dense, but at least have the opportunity of hearing you tonight and having, some of your charts and graphs and whatever, visuals that will help give people comfort that this is the way to go. So we could take a vote. If people aren't ready to vote, we could,
Oh, and I have just one quick question for Beverly. So on a private property, if you have a tree that's sick or, it can be taken down.
It can be taken down.
And
Yes.
it has to either,
Or hazardous, menacing, if it's creating a hazard to your house, to the sidewalk, anything like that, they come down. That's not a question.
okay, thank you.
So before we vote, I think I'd like to express at least my personal thanks to Beverly. I think you and the tree committee have done a really good job of putting together a thoughtful proposal. It looks like it's very consistent with what's going on in neighboring communities, which is important. And it also, I think that the canopy maps show that we as a community, maybe for understandable reasons, have the lowest amount of tree canopy of at least the immediately surrounding communities. And I think we need to do something about that. So I'm very impressed with the work that's been done. And I think it's a thoughtful piece of legislation, and congratulations to the tree committee for all the hard work that went into this.
I agree.
Thank you.
What's the next
I
step?
remember when you were, I was watching when you were presenting at the meeting, at the VOT meeting 2 years ago. So I know there's been a lot of time and energy that's gone into this. And I think that everybody will see that this is really necessary and that we should have something like this.
I'm just wondering what's the next step now for this? Not for our committee, but for the ordinance.
Well, it's scheduled Monday at the trustees meeting for a public hearing. I'm actually not sure. Do I present it, or is it just people to comment on it, Tom?
No, what will happen is, hi, how are you? What will happen is, it's a public hearing. So I will introduce it. We will take a motion and a vote to open the public hearing. Then, if trustees or the mayor want to talk about the law, I'll give a little overview. And then we'll open it up to the public, at which time it would be good, if you wanted to come up and talk about it. Well, you don't have to go through every aspect of the law. Just come up.
Are you sure?
Just come up and, just talk about, the headlines, you know what I mean? The prime benefits. Because, we don't, honestly, you don't want to get bogged down in details at a public hearing, because then you give the people who are negative just little things to pick on.
Okay, that's good advice.
I think you have, in my opinion, you have, the majority of the board is going to be very supportive. Although I never know what this board is going to do. I can't. I'll be honest with you. I had concerns, and I think you addressed 90% of my concerns. So I am definitely on board. But I just think let people have their say. We'll close the meeting. We'll take a vote.
Okay.
After the vote, it's a law.
Okay.
But
Why don't we vote? Why don't we vote on the motion?
okay, I just quickly, it might be helpful too, if people from the Committee for the Environment were also there and say, hey, you know what? We support this too. So with that, that's just,
I'm gonna try to be the support. Anyone else can be there?
Is it a virtual meeting or a in-person?
it's virtual. Zoom.
So maybe somebody from the committee can have 15 seconds to make a statement in support.
It'd be like you're an attendee, you raise your hand, I'll call on you. We'll work through it.
So how do we make a motion?
The motion's been made, we have to vote.
I vote yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep, aye.
Any opposed? Looks like unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
whoever's able to show up at the BOT meeting and support that would be great. September 27th at 8 p.m., right, Beverly?
Yes.
Okay.
And so will a link for the meeting be sent around? Like, how do we actually join the meeting?
I don't know.
Okay, if you go to the village website and you go to there'll be a link for the board meeting. If you go there and you click on a link, it'll tell you how to be on the Zoom.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
All right, Beverly, thank you so much for joining us.
I really appreciate this. Thank you.
You are welcome to stay, or you can go watch something great on Netflix tonight. Whatever you choose to do.
I think I'll opt for that. Dinner first.
Dinner, yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I will.
Bye.
Thank you. And thank you for all your work on this. We really do appreciate that.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.
So we have,
To ask one thing, would it be possible for Sally to send us a link for the Committee for the Environment, so whoever can, just in case, because sometimes these Zooms are so hard to get on? Is it possible
a link for what, Maria?
for the meeting, for
For the BOT meeting?
Yeah.
What's on the village website?
Yeah.
No, but she's asking for a specific one for us so that we could
for
get
the
on.
committee?
I mean, you're welcome to email her about that. Yeah.
There's attendees and there's panelists. So you wouldn't be a panelist. So you'd be an attendee and you raise your hand and you get called up.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item. We have with us Jim, say hi from the Fuller Center.
Hi, everybody. I'm
Hey,
Jim from
Jim.
the Fuller Center, and I speak with all you troublemakers.
So I've gotten to know Jim through helping out with Ida disaster relief, and Jim sort of had a base camp at the corner of Hillside and Howard, which he's now moved to the Jefferson parking lot because now they're rebuilding the bridge over there. But, you know, Jim is there with a crew of his guys, just doing amazing work. I mean, helping people get the water out of the basements, helping them tear down the walls, reconstruct. And I asked Jim to join us tonight because, you know, he's done this before. Like he swoops in whenever there is sort of these floods and natural disasters and helps communities rebuild, which is amazing. But also because, Jim, I just love your ideas about, you know, green practices when it comes to rebuilding. So I asked him just to kind of pop into our Zoom. He doesn't like Zoom, so we get it. Just, you know, talk to us for 5 or 10 minutes. Amazingly, I think I told you, Jim, there's already a Fuller Center club now at the Mamaroneck High School. My daughter's actually joined it. So you're becoming, you know, a big hit amongst the kids. You've had a lot of volunteers at your table, and you put them to really good work. And again, we're so grateful for all you're doing for our community. But if you just want to just, you know, enlighten us with some of your thoughts and ideas.
Well, first of all, I'll thank Tom. Tom's come over and, you know, it's a catastrophe, and it still is, in my opinion. And I'm estimating about 1,000 homes from Portchester down, Rybrook down to Yonkers. And we think, I'm in New Rochelle right now, that 2 billion gallons of water went through New Rochelle, according to one estimate from the building commissioner. And so I love the village. It's my home, even though I don't live there. In 2008, we built the award-winning flood design homes on Howard and Nostrand. I don't know, has anyone seen those?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Liz Covington used to live there.
Yeah, Liz, and we knocked it down, and they didn't get flooded this time. And as we know, this was worse than 2007. A family came to visit me from 2011 who moved up to Harbor Heights. They moved out of the end of that street. And then Hurricane Irene. And what I learned in Mamaroneck gave me expertise to bring 12,000 volunteers to Hurricane Sandy out in the Rockaways. So I've done a lot of rodeos. I don't want to keep doing them. And how do we build a better village and town together? And you know, there's models across the country, and I'm just honored to be amongst you. So, you know, I'm a big one on bicycling. I'm a big one on less parking lots. I'm a big one on what happens in White Plains hurts us. And the overdevelopment of White Plains, I think, has hurt the village many times. That's not a popular thing for me to say, but, and so there are so many towns and cities, but it's one New York. And Mamaroneck gets a lot of the, pardon my language, the shit of what happens up county, and I don't like that. So so that's part of it. I'm building passive homes. I don't know if anybody knows about passive homes, but that guy that came today, Ellen from ASG, said, Jim, he said, that's amazing, you're building those. Another time we can talk about that. I was the first and last one to put solar panels on a building on Main Street in New Rochelle. 1998, I was stopped from putting solar panels on a building that I did on national TV with Bob Vila. Not that solar panels are the only answer. I'm big on gardens and retrofitting parking lots green and embracing the water so that it becomes something that we can redesign and think about how we can redesign for the future. All of that is easy talk on my part. The complexities that Tom's deals with in every board meeting, I take a gun to my head and I apologize because you know a lot of stuff it gets caught in everything, and so you know, it's easy for me to come in and say, you know, this and this. The realities of dealing with too many municipalities and layers, in my opinion, and that causes a lot of challenges. And I think our overdevelopment is a big problem everywhere, predicated by being close to New York City. And I think that our main mission is ownership for the next generation, for your kids, Ellen's, and mine, and yours, Tom's, and your grandkids. And I don't see anyone doing that anywhere on any green, effective level. And so I'm not that popular, but, you know, we've won awards for our designs, and we did a zero energy house. So we use blue jean insulation instead of fiberglass, made of Madewell and Rag and Bones. I didn't even know what Madewell and Rag and Bones were till they told me. You know, I'm a Levi's guy, but, you know, and we donate that insulation right now to the families as long as I have it. I'm giving that for free to the homes that need to get it. And if any of you need your homes worked on or need any help, you know, I promise nothing, but we try like heck and we deploy. This is, like I said, the other thing I would just say, I'm big on putting backseas, hot water on demand, you know, on instead of hot water boilers into houses. I don't know if the village allows utilities to be brought up to the second floor, Tom.
Yes, in flood zones you can.
Yeah, so that's something we want to get the word out and encourage. And I have a lot of redesign models. I have a team of engineers and architects, both from young kids in Mamaroneck or Holy Child to Tufts and Polytech and Yale. You know, I've had these kids with me for years as they go through Mamaroneck and other schools. And so they've stayed with me, thank God. And, you know, how do we, you know, these are fragile times. This is horrific for all of us to go through this. And we have to totally think differently on how we've evolved so far. And I always say we're all environmentalists, but we have no bike lanes in Westchester. We all drive our SUVs. Now that's anathema, you know, I'm sorry for saying that, but you know, those things are the simple things that bother me. And I hate all the concrete parking lots everywhere. So if I could flip a switch, I'd rip them up tonight. And Liz Covington's house, I've never paved another driveway since the floods in 2007. You know, the paving, water's got to go somewhere and doesn't go through concrete or asphalt. So, so those are just some quick off the cuff, easy to say things on my part. Implementing them is a whole another thing, but I'm honored to be working with all of you and be in the village. I cry with the people. I've done this rodeo 3 times with them. I've seen people saying I'm leaving, post-traumatic stress syndrome, insurance companies denying people, FEMA and you know, SBA I had on my radio show. I mean, these are, you know, if they don't get that, you know, how do they rebuild everything they put into their home? And I've seen houses that are falling apart, and I've having my engineer look at it. We lifted up houses in the Rockaways. I have some people that help me do that, you know, lift them up, and I'm trying to bring those guys in. So anyway, I could be a resource. A pain in the neck, but it's a good pain, I think, because it's for your grandkids, Tom, and all your kids. And, you know, people are leaving New York at the largest numbers. And this isn't something that certainly is helping. And the village is one of the best places I could think of in all of New York that people love, and you haven't screwed it up, and you have walkable Mamaroneck Ave, and you know, you got biking police, and I really commend you because it's one of the places that I know I love to go. Peekskill is another one, but you know, I'm looking at 44 high rises outside my door tonight that no kid can afford here, and I saw Main Street as a river, and I had water up to my waist that night after I had checked in with my Mamaroneck friends over on Leicester and on Howard. So, you know, this is not, these are tough times for everybody involved, and we will rise again, and I'm just glad to be part of that. And may we not have a flash flood in the near future. So we're over on Jefferson parking lot by Station Plaza. We've given now thousands of bags, contractor bags, bleach, gloves, food, diapers. You know, people can drop anything off. People come by and get it, as well as I have blue jean insulation for free. We've gotten mucked many houses. And you know, again, don't let anyone not get an electrician check or certify your house if you had water in it. I saw sparks in one house and there was a fire on another one, I think, Tom, on North Barry, right? And so, you know, we've been here before. And I think I was on the committee when Peggy was on it. You remember Peggy, Tom, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Budget committee.
Yeah, so I was on that and, you know, so that's kind of what I can offer. I can speak on passive homes. I can speak on a lot of stuff another time if you want. And I do have quite a few ideas that I'll hope to make publish or share with you guys on what we can do on a broader basis. And like I said, I've done it in multiple towns and cities and municipalities now. And, you know, that's it. That's good enough for now. FullerCenterNY.org. And bring me a smoothie if you want. That's a green thing you can do over at the parking lot. So, you know, that's part of what I'm about. So, Alan, thank you. A lot of good people step up. I've had people from all the faiths, Larchmont Temple, St. John and Paul, Trinity Life, that new church, St. Vito's underwater, but Father's been nice. The high school kids, I have 50 high schools that have official clubs, and they've built me with me for 30 years. And so it's their future. And whether our grandkids can live in New York or not is an existential question that Texas, Georgia, and you know, North Carolina have become our answer in that. And I think we're wiser than that as we develop a long-term better New York for all of us.
Jim, thank you so much. I find you so inspiring, and I think this was a wake-up call for kids. I see it with my own daughter, and I think that your you know, your base camp has provided great volunteer opportunities for these kids to really get in there, actually do real hands-on work, which is so important. Going to people's homes, taking out wet stuff, breaking down walls, and you know, having people
Learning to rebuild too. We'll teach them how to rebuild too.
teach them how to rebuild. I think it's also important.
We took everything, whether you're GED or PhD, the tool of our kids' life should not be a keyboard. And I also think every kid should learn to grow food. And I'm praying for one good cyber attack so that we'll all have to live without all these electronics. And we all did at one point, right? Does anyone remember when we didn't have any of that? I
Back in
think,
the day.
right? Well,
Yeah.
you know, just or try once a month a non-electronic day.
Right.
Kids are bumping into each other and adults. I'm addicted. We're all addicted.
We all are.
So
Jim, keep up your amazing work. We are so appreciative of you and your guys out there. You know, I don't know. I think a lot of people would just really still be suffering if it weren't for you guys being there day one. So thank you.
yeah, just being relational and being there every day. I've been there 19 days. And I'll be there until either Tom kicks me out. Tom, let me know when, or and Tom knows I'm kidding. But just to, anyway, we want to be there to help. And, you know, if you know of anybody that needs that, let us know. And come by and visit. We do need more volunteers. So, you know, the immediate, I think we hit it right after Labor Day and the High Holy Days. So we had a lot of volunteers. And then school. It's almost, I wish school was off for 2 weeks. Like they take kids in Maine off to pick potatoes. We took 2 weeks of kids so they could just go and help their village. And what an honorable thing that would be, and what an amazing thing we could help to teach them in a lot of those times. So, you know, I just glad to be part of it and honored in it. Anyone have any questions at all or anything?
Hey, Jim, totally off topic, but why did you guys change from Habitat to for Humanity to the Fuller House?
So about 70 of us, thank you for going off topic. 70 of us did. And if you met Millard Fuller, like a mayor in California did when I spoke at a Rotary in Yonkers once, and she's in Yonkers now, she said, you'd realize why you want to honor someone, he and his wife were honored by the Clintons, by Daddy Bush with a sidewalk in Washington, DC, by, I've been with him with Carter 5 times. I knew him integrally for 30 years. I was one of the founding board members when he turned 70 and they asked him to leave. So we incorporated the Fuller Center while staying with Habitat of Westchester. Now realize, nobody wants me to build a house in Westchester. Let's just make that real. I had one of the most stupid jobs in the country. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Nobody really wants me to build a home in Westchester. I've had people try to burn down one of our homes recently. So, and I don't say that lightly. I was ready to leave New York except for Ida. I don't, you know, I'm taking Social Security, 21,000 in healthcare. I do this as a ministry, as Nehemiah builds. So if you met Millard and Linda, they should have gotten a Nobel Peace Prize. Linda's still alive, his wife. So 70 of us changed to kind of get back to the original mission. They charged us $25,000 to $50,000 a year dues, and they wanted us to charge interest to families. The book, the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran all say don't charge interest to one another. It's not a competition with Habitat. You know, I want them to be blessed. I was with them. You'll meet nobody with them longer in New York than I was, or in the Northeast. So, you know, I still am with a lot of Habitat directors. But to remember, you know, I've gone from the best brand in the world to being called the Fuller Brush Man. There's another stupid move on my part, right? But but what we've done here is excellent. And what we did in the tornadoes in Millwood, that they still called us Habitat and we were Fuller, we built flood design homes. I'm building passive homes. We took on a hurricane and no one did that from them except me. I went out to Queens every day. I don't care about a name. I'm here to do what is to keep people in homes and to rebuild new homes, you know. And so our territory is broader. So I'm already in Rockland County in Orange. I've put an addition on in Queens. We've helped someone in Long Island. So we're already broader. I have a Queens staff. So it's, you know, you don't see it, but it was just Habitat of Westchester. So I have a broader territory to evolve and allow us to try to make that ownership in New York. Because, you know, for me to keep fighting somebody and say, oh, stop him, he's trying to build an affordable home in my community. That's the reality of what I've dealt with for 30 years. You know, our first house was on Weaver and Laurel over by, in Mamaroneck. I always give you Town of Mamaroneck, Village of Mamaroneck. I mean, talk about screwed up. I don't understand all that either. I'm sorry. But that's wacky too. But we built our first house on Laurel and Weaver in 1988, and the family's mortgages paid off. We're seeing the efficacy, the failed policy of our country is rental subsidized housing. It never created ownership. And we are just perpetuating that model, which is as ownership goes up, education goes up, crime goes down. And all of us know it. We all know that in our own history. When we all owned that first home, it changed the history of our family's life. So you know, that I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Yeah, no, I was curious.
You can call me the Fuller Brush Man though, if you want. My Monsignor at my church does. So.
All right.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, Jim, thank you. Thank you for your time tonight.
All right, have a great night. Thank you.
Be well.
All right.
Okay. Tom?
Hi.
Would you mind just giving us, I keep hearing about the Army Corps of Engineer flood remediation project. Could you just give us an overview of what that is, what it means, if it's going to happen, you know, your thoughts about that?
Well, the project basically has to do with widening and deepening both the Mamaroneck and the Shelter rivers, and especially in the confluence where they meet in Columbus Park. It also removes some bridges and it straightens the rivers in some parts. I was talking to somebody in the federal government today, and they said they are now going to reconfigure it for the flood that we just experienced. Prior to a couple of weeks ago, the biggest flood that they had ever experienced was in 2007, April 15, 2007. I was a trustee. And this was in some areas over 4 feet deeper. there were parts of the village that were under 12 to 14 feet of water. I'll send you a video later on of a man swimming to his house down a street in Washingtonville. There was a point that night, I guess it was around 9:30 to 10 o'clock, where it went from a little flooding to catastrophic flooding within an hour. And at that point, we had really lost the ability to respond to people in the flooded area. We lost 4 police cars in response to the flood. We lost a firehouse down in Washingtonville that is probably irreparably damaged. You know, the 911 system, I think in the county, the county operates the 911 system. The 911 system in the county was so inundated that people couldn't get through. And I was getting texts and Facebook messages from people who were saying, you know, my house is surrounded. I'm on the 2nd floor. The whole downstairs flooded. You know, can you send somebody to save me? And I had to just tell these people, no. You know, you have to keep getting to the higher point in your house because there was no way we could send emergency services into that area at the time because we didn't have the capacity and it just was too dangerous at the time. Thankfully, Con Ed turned off electricity to most of the village, or at least half the village. I think that was a wise decision on their part. So that next morning, when they were still evacuating, they started evacuating people in the front end loaders that the DPW had. And, they were discharging them from the front end loaders at the railroad station, pretty much where the high tide mark hit. And, you know, I was there very early, and it was about 6:30 in the morning, and there were kids getting off these front end loaders with just their pajamas on and their bare feet. You know, they literally get out with the shirt on their back, and they lost everything. And just then, there was a reporter that I knew from NBC, and he motioned me over, and I was live on Channel 4, and I was talking about the flood, and I was talking about, you know, the fact that the federal government hadn't fulfilled its obligation to us. So that was about 6:35 a.m. that morning, and about I'd say 7:50, not 7:50, 6:50, about 15 minutes later, I got a call from Senator Schumer's office. I believe the senator had watched it and had people reach out to me. And in 2 days, we had the senator, Senator Gillibrand, the governor of New York, and every elected official down the pike here in the village of Mamaroneck pledging their support to the Army Corps of Engineer Fund, which is truthfully the only, I mean, we can do a lot of things, and we should do a lot of things. You know, we should plant trees, we should use more pervious surfaces, but all of that added together, and you know, and times by 10 is not going to deal with this. And as it was pointed out before, you know, the rapidity and the intensity of these storms just gets greater and greater. You know, there was a big storm in the village in '72, and people talk about, you know, getting saved by people in rowboats. And then the next big storm we had like that was in '07, and then we had another one in '11. Then we had another one in '14. And now, you know, we're having the worst storm of our lives in 2021. As you pointed out, 100-year floods. The 100-year flood is just, it's actually a measure of the amount of rain that falls in the, you know, it doesn't mean that it has to happen every 100 years, or something like that. But they should really rename it because it's a misnomer now. But I also got a call from Schumer's office today. What happened was our Army Corps plan was in the federal budget in, I think, 2018, 2019. And I mean, there's no other way to say it. President Trump's administration spiked it. He had the Office of Management and Budget do a report that said, you know, this is not worthwhile spending money on. We have a different administration now. I was told today, and between us, there will probably be a press release tomorrow from Senator Schumer's office saying that the Office of Management and Budget has given the go-ahead to this plan after they do the engineering. So, you know, elections have consequences. I think that if we don't do something like this, there's going to be a whole part of our village that's going to be uninhabitable. And we're going to be writing off that part of the village, and that part of the village is, you know, where it almost always happens in this situation, is where the people with the least economic resiliency live, the people of color live. And you know, I know that the Army Corps isn't the, you know, a perfect solution, and I know that it isn't going to take away any chance of flooding ever, but it's a fighting chance. And you know, if the difference is, you know, where it would have been 14 feet, you know, now it's 5 feet, it means a hell of a lot of difference to the person who lives on the second floor and got flooded for the first time. So in my estimation, there is no alternative that's viable. You know, the Army Corps of Engineers is a federal department that whose basic its function is to control flooding and erosion through engineering fixes. So until somebody else can tell me that they've got a better plan that's been vetted by a team of engineers, you know, this is what we have. And I think that we have the best chance of getting this right now. And I really believe that you know, we have to focus on this as a community. You know, I think that we have to make sure that the least among us is as much as a priority as anybody else. Because, you know, in my estimation, if you're in government, then you're not doing that. You know, what's the point? You know, why are we here? So you know, that's the way I feel about it. I think that we have a good shot at it. I think that, you know, it's going to take years to build. So the quicker we get on with it, and you know, the federal government pushes the buttons they have to push, the better off we are. And until that time, you know, we have to do things like, you know, we need more rubber boats. We need more, you know, stuff that the fire department could use, you know, in these situations, so that the men and women who serve here in the emergency services have the tools they need and don't put their own lives in danger constantly to save their neighbors. I just want to point out, especially our fire department, a lot of these men and women who serve in our fire department, as you all know, they're all volunteers. They were out saving people and responding to calls while their own homes were flooding, while their own families, you know, were in peril. And you know, you can't buy that kind of dedication. You can't buy that kind of commitment. And you know, I grew up, I think as a lot of you did, in New York City, where you know, a fireman was a paid job and it was a career. And all of these folks are doing it as an avocation and not a vocation. And I think it's just incredible. And you know, I make fun of them sometimes, and they can be wacky sometimes. But man, when the chips are down, they're there. And I was at the firehouse that night, the whole night. There was something to see. And our DPW has done an amazing job. The men and women who work for this community have have worked 12-hour shifts 7 days a week. 10 of them live in homes that were destroyed. They're out of their homes, but they still came to work. So we have a lot to be grateful for. As Ellen pointed out, the generosity and the support of the community for those who have suffered has been phenomenal. And it needs to keep happening because there's a long way to go before a lot of these people come back. A lot of people are not going to be able to go back to the homes that they had in the near future and maybe in a permanent future. So that's where we are with the Army Corps and with what happened in the village and flooding. Just a few things. We have the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm sorry. We have FEMA here in the village. They're in the village courthouse. And we have them, and we had mutual aid from communities all around. And that happened because we were ahead of the curve in every way. As soon as President Biden declared us a disaster area, within 30 seconds, I was on the phone to Schumer's office, and I said, we'll host FEMA here. We'll give them everything we need. We'll set up for them. They can be here tomorrow. And we had FEMA here within 36 hours. And that helped our people so much. Our people, were able to access Red Cross, FEMA, DMV, everything they needed right in the courthouse. And that was because we were on the ball. And I was on a phone call with the county. And that's been the last thing I said. I'm going on. I was on a phone call with the county after the storm. And, the county was very helpful. George Latimer, Westchester County. I couldn't ask for a better ally. And the town of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont too were very helpful. But the town of Cortland was on the call, and their supervisor is a woman named Linda Puglisi. And I've met Linda once or twice in my life, and so we're not friends or anything like that. And she said on the call, "Hey, listen, we didn't really get hit here up in Portland. So I have a fully staffed DPW. If one of the towns that got hit could use it." And I unmuted myself and I said, "Linda, I'll take everything you got." And she sent her whole DPW down here for a week.
Wow.
Equipment, personnel, everything. It was the most municipally generous act I've ever seen in my life. And I told everybody, if Cortland ever has a problem, it's our commitment now is we have to go help them, because it was unheard of. I've never heard about that before, seen that before. Usually, a contiguous community, but you can't get any further and still be in Westchester County than the town of Cortland. So that was, heartening. So that's all I have. I'm a proponent of the flood plan. We're going to be getting information out next week to the community about what it is and how you can support it. And but listen, the last thing is we dodged a bullet. I mean, we really did. I mean, there's a lot of damage, there's a lot of distress, there's a lot of pain, but nobody died in this community. And I was sure that we were going to find people dead. And through the grace of God, we didn't. But we're playing Russian roulette here. And we can't keep dodging this bullet. This is going to end in people dying. And so I feel a huge responsibility to do whatever I could do to avoid that and mitigate the damage. So that's what I'm going to be about until they remove me from this office eventually. But yeah, I'm sorry to go on so long. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but I'll tell you what, this is an amazing community, and we're privileged to live here.
No,
Yes,
Tom, thank
we
you.
are.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to hear things from your perspective, so I appreciate you just,
Thank you
telling us all that.
event.
I mean, I personally, I'll just tell my personal situation that I'm not a late night person, and people knew that if I was up at 1 in the morning, something was bad was going on in my house. And I saw something on Facebook that you posted, and I texted Tom because I was panicking. And you got back to me right away. And I think that you're very, people find you to be a really strong supporter and a comfort when, things are going wrong. And that is what everybody wants in a mayor. So I think that you've done an extraordinary job. You've shown your commitment, and it's hard. And, one of the things that we benefit is from your relationships with, county, the county legislators and up through the state. And, even seeing you on CNN with Chris Cuomo, I think that you really did a great job of letting the world know what is happening in our town. So our village.
He
So I
tried
appreciate you for that.
he tried to give me the bum's rush before I got off. I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You did a great job. Yeah, we needed a leader and you definitely stepped up. I mean, I came to live in the village in 1965. I've seen this, too many times. I think the one before this that was worse was, I think, was like 1970. It was nothing compared to this. And we have to really take advantage of, unfortunately, of everything that happened and repair, just do as much repair as we can with, the Army Corps of Engineers. We have to. We just can't keep doing this. But thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. There was one point, I was watching News 12, and the weatherman on News 12 said, the storm, the cyclone, whatever they call it, seems to be centered right over Mamaroneck, New York. And I was like, oh man, we got 11 inches of rain. You think about it, this is an area that usually gets about 50 inches of rain a year. So we got.
Yeah, kids were out kayaking on my street here. It was just crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That's all.
All right. Well, thank you for that. All right. So we'll move to our next agenda item. So we are going to have a full cleanup. Not as elaborate as our Clean and Green Day, not like with all the hoopla, but just, really a roll up your sleeves, come out and clean up kind of day on November 6th. We'll put out the word to, to the schools and our usual, the scouts and our usual contacts for that. I'll have Robert do a sign up genius. I would like to form a subcommittee. I know Mandy, who couldn't make it tonight, wants to be involved with it, but it'd be nice to have a subcommittee of people that will help organize it, publicize it, and do all that stuff. So if anybody is interested, you could just send me an email after this meeting. The one thing that I did mention earlier, just a thought, if we should invite Sustainable Westchester to come and do an electric leaf mulcher demo at the harbor, which I think could be, if we get enough of the crowd, that could be really worthwhile.
I'll let you answer on this first. Why not?
Also, right, I feel that way too. We need some, usually Martin did our flyer. If anybody could do a flyer or some social media graphics, Liam.
He always said that he would continue doing it because he's got the template. It's basically just like changing out the dates and things like that.
I guess I could email and ask him, but I
he
feel like
still works for Save the Sound. So, I think he would still, be amicable to doing that. And I've had even, like neighboring towns like New Rochelle contact me because they want to help and they want to do something. And I was telling them about the Clean and Green, like Girl Scout troops, schools. So now because of how hard hit Mamaroneck got, a lot of people want to volunteer. And I think this Clean and Green would be, they would come with their own group and be like isolated. So this way it's safer.
Excuse me.
Bless you. So that might be something that we want to do because they really, they want to, they're our sister towns and they want to help us.
I think it's really nice. Yeah, I think that, I don't know if Ida will be completely cleaned up by then. Hopefully it will, but certainly that would be great to have the extra hands on deck.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I don't want it to be all the hoopla with, having all the giveaways, and I don't think we need to get involved with all that. I think
No,
to me, it's a pure cleanup. I know that,
bags, brakes, gloves.
I'm sorry.
Bags, brakes, and gloves. That's
Yes,
it.
exactly. Yes, exactly. Just, a couple of hours out there and let's do a
Yeah.
cleanup. I think
Yeah.
that'd be great. I
Yeah.
think that, anybody that helped out in the spring, we'll contact them. I think that they, really enjoyed the experience. I know a lot of the, school groups, the National Honor Society, they're all looking for service opportunities. So I think that, the one thing we haven't decided if we have a rain date or whatever, but right now, please all save the date and try to attend yourselves and let me know if you want to be on a subcommittee. And I'll talk to Jerry about, getting the DPW out and getting all the, the supplies. Okay. So just on our clean energy communities, climate smart communities topic, there's a couple things here. One, Tom, I want to make sure that you're aware, and I'm really hoping, even with everything going on, that somebody from the building inspector office can attend on October 7th. It's a once-a-year workshop. And this is something where, NYSERDA actually keeps track of this and they give, points to the municipality. I'm sure there's a lot to be learned at these, full day events. So I'm pretty sure that Jerry and Dan Sonoff know this date, but I hope it just doesn't get lost track of, that somebody does attend to do the energy code enforcement training.
I'm going to send it to him right now, Ellen,
Thank you.
with a reminder.
Okay. Excuse me. The other thing, I'm not sure, on August 6th, I submitted a grant proposal for the $5,000 grant. I don't know if we've gotten the check. I'm told that I don't get an email saying the check's in the mail. It just sort of comes in. So I did today actually email Augie asking if we got the check, because we should know, because I think the use of proceeds that we said was to buy LED bulbs and give them out to residents in Washingtonville. And what better time, I think, now than to do something like that. So I'm going to follow up with that to see if we got those proceeds. And then we do have another, we're eligible for another $5,000 grant, and our deadline for submitting a proposal is October 20th. So in just a month. So we need to decide how we want to spend those proceeds, because the way you get the check is to submit a proposal of how you can use the money. So if anybody on that subcommittee wants to submit ideas or think about it, I'll also ask Jerry and Dan. I know obviously they're busy, but we shouldn't let that opportunity, get by us. We should submit. And it's not a 5-minute thing. It takes time to do it. So I would need a little lead time.
Does it have to be for the whole amount of something? Like, something that's more than $5,000 that you want it to go towards?
It can be a contribution towards something, and the village can come out of pocket for the rest. Yes.
But does the village have to agree that they would come out of pocket? Like, does that have to go through that process?
Well, the village, yes, they would have to.
Right.
Yes, they would have to agree to fund the rest.
Mm.
Yeah. So Liam and I met with Jerry, I guess that was that August? I'm losing track of my, and we talked about this committee among some other things, and Jerry agreed to be on the Climate Smart committee, which is great. And he talked about getting Dennis, I forget his last name, I think Drugan from the building department to be on as well.
Dennis Dugan, yeah.
Who I think would be a great person to be on the committee, because I think he's supportive of sort of, green building and, lowering energy usage and carbon and all that. So I think that he'd be a really good positive addition to that. And then I think we were still looking for somebody, in the community that maybe had a background in construction, engineering, that would just sort of have that technical know-how. But I feel like we should really, we have the committee, we have the resolution, we should really just start like meeting. So I think we need to sort of get to that next level of figuring out what our meetings are going to be, who officially is on this committee. So maybe the subcommittee will have a call with Jerry or Dan and just kick it off.
Ellen, isn't one step that the village has to actually appoint the committee members? And has that been done?
No, it hasn't. If you give me a list, I'll just get it done at the next.
Yeah, I think it's a routine thing, but unless we have actual appointments, we can't do anything.
Okay, so I'll send Tom a list.
And also there was a CSC coordinator that needs to be appointed. And I think there was some issue as to whether that would be a volunteer or somebody we would hire. I don't know whether there was ever a decision made about that. And I think that was actually one of the grant proposal possibilities, is if we were going to hire somebody, we could use some of the grant money to hire, or at least to pay part of that cost.
Yes, that was part of the grant. And it was, I believe, either to hire a coordinator or, pay a consultant to do some of the, some hours to do work, in support of that committee.
Yeah, this is complicated stuff, and I don't think it can be done totally by a volunteer group. So I think that'd be a good idea if we could arrange that.
Well, I think we'd have to conduct then a job search of trying to find somebody. I mean, I think the coordinator role is fairly administrative. I think that the programs are technical, which is why you want people on the committee like Dennis or like somebody else that we want to find who sort of has an engineering background. But I think the coordinator role is fairly, you need somebody who is just a good administrator.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think the coordinator is an administrative role, but some of the actual work of putting these programs into place could be helped by someone with some technical expertise.
Okay. So I think that we should, well, first of all, I'm just assuming that everybody that's been on the subcommittee wants to be on this committee. Is that a fair assumption? I guess it's, yeah. Dan? Okay, so yes, that's, so we could all have our input as to, if anybody knows of anyone. I mean, I've been de facto operating like a CSC coordinator. I'm not sure if I would want to do it long-term, but I feel like the person that we would get, if it's not me, would be doing what I've been doing. And I could tell you, it doesn't require technical expertise. It requires being very hands-on, very organized, and just sort of administrative. So, yes, we did get some grant money to do that. It's not going to go that far unless somebody charges a very low hourly rate. So, we can figure that out. But I do think that of the initiatives, and I asked Liam to talk for a few minutes about this, again, in light of IDA, in light of everything else, what would we want to sort of embark on first? And we talked about, and I know the town has done this, which is adopting the New York Stretch Code and unified solar permit. So Liam, I could just sort of put you on the spot and maybe just talk a little bit about those initiatives.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so the stretch code is like a more efficient building energy code than the standard state code. And it was developed by NYSERDA. And I guess you could think of it as where the state energy code will eventually get to is probably where the stretch code is now. And it's something that a municipality would adopt as their energy building code by, the way they adopt any other village code. So what are the benefits? Well, of course, the buildings tend to cost more to build, but they're cheaper on the back end. So that benefits people like tenants and other occupants because they're not paying such high sort of energy costs. You know, there's a reduced environmental impact, obviously. It's better occupant health and comfort. There's a cachet to actually being a village that's adopted this and is green. And then adopting this also supports green jobs and green technology. Okay. So, I mean, I had a look at the code. Unless you're a sort of lawyer, it's probably very hard to understand. But the key changes are they attend to like the building envelope. So that's insulation, windows, and air sealing. They're looking at lighting, improved efficiency in lighting, monitoring the use of electricity, and making sure buildings are ready for renewable energy and electric vehicle charging. So you don't actually have to sort of put that in, but the idea is to get the buildings ready to adopt that. And, you know, the ventilation of buildings. Okay. So NYSERDA did an analysis. They said, like, for a single family home, it might add $1,500 to $2,500 to the building cost, but you could see an almost 20% reduction in energy use compared to homes that are built to the current code. And so the average payback would be around 6.4 years. For commercial buildings, it's a little harder to quantify. Maybe on average, a 7% savings in energy costs and a payback of about 3 to 13 years. So again, the town would adopt this, and NYSERDA would come and speak to the Board of Trustees about it in probably more detail than I could. And one of the advantages of this, if we adopt it before the end of the year, we get another $5,000 CEC grant, and we get 1,200 points. And then dovetailing with this is the Unified Solar Permit, which is basically just a sort of way of permitting solar projects that's standardized across the state. So it just makes it easier for contractors. Things move faster. And that only applies to projects like residential projects less than 25 kilowatts. Okay. And again, that's something that NYSERDA has developed, and they could present to the board as well. So from the committee perspective, I mean, obviously I would recommend this, and I don't know whether other people want to have a deeper dive themselves. But with regards to the stretch code, given the advantage of doing it by the end of the year, I would be quite happy to propose that we as a committee sort of request that the board look at this and adopt it before the end of the year. So, any questions?
Hey, Liam, does every house, does it become a village building code that any new construction and renovation has to adopt, falls under the stretch code?
Yeah. So it's just basically like, we're doing a little extension, and the architect said to the builder, go and look at the code, the stretch code, because he thought that's the thing, the town has adopted it and the architect forgot we're in the village. So we're only we're buying windows that meet the stretch code standard.
Right.
Okay. And so it would be, it would every new building and any reconstruction, renovation that required a building permit would have to meet the code requirements.
It's a smart thing to do, and anybody that's, doing a renovation or building should be doing it anyway for their comfort and energy savings. So
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And I think, now as with, given what we've been talking about, it's one of those practical ways to get to a greener, more sustainable future.
Yeah, Liam, I guess this is sort of, I guess, the lawyer and me talking. None of us have seen any information about this. None of us have seen the code. This is the first time it's come up. I sort of have a little bit of an allergic reaction to passing something that I haven't even thought about before or seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be possible to circulate some materials about both of these things and put this on an agenda for next month.
Yeah.
I think I think they're really, in principle, good ideas, and I would like to support them, but I'd like to actually think that we're making an informed decision.
Yeah.
I think I think it's more impressive if we've actually looked at the stuff before passing it.
I guess my comment was that it's so technical and complicated that I couldn't inform myself.
No, but there's got to be some materials, like it would be very interesting to see the studies that show what the costs are and what the payback is.
Right.
And there's got to be some summaries. There's got to be some summaries that are not technical that we can look at and get a sense of what is actually in these codes.
Yeah. Okay.
I would really like to have a discussion, look at that, have an informed discussion, and then maybe vote on this next time if that's still going to give us time to have it considered by the board by the end of the year.
So, a lot of the stuff that NYSERDA has published is got a top level, what I just kind of discussed. So I'm sure if we ask them, we could get a deeper dive. And then maybe we have the NYSERDA person come and speak to us at the next meeting.
Yeah,
I'm not sure we need a deep dive. I think we just need a dive, maybe a shallow dive. Just a summary of what the unified solar
well, I'll
permit
forward
does.
around the stuff. I'll forward the stuff that I have got so far.
I think it'd be great if we could get someone to come and really speak to us in more depth about it, though, because it is really complicated stuff and there's a lot to it.
I mean, if we could do that, that would be great.
I don't know who that would be. I don't know.
Well, someone from NYSERDA would do it. And then they would speak to the board of trustees as well.
Right.
I mean, it's a sort of a lot, it's all technical stuff, like, in my case, the U value of the windows had to be one bit higher, kind of.
I could ask Eleanor Peck, who is our, our liaison to NYSERDA, and whether she could talk to it or whether she knows who can, and see about that.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that then.
Okay. We do have one guest speaker lined up for next month, which is somebody who's going to come talk about solar canopies.
Right.
We could have two guest speakers. Look, it does feel a little rushed to get this through by the year end, putting aside whatever incentives NYSERDA has. I have a feeling they're going to have a whole new set of incentives for next year. So I'm not that worried about that. I think that I agree. All the rebuilding should be as green as possible, but practically speaking, and I'm dealing with it in my own home, a lot of this green equipment is not even available. So when you need things sort of right away, like a water heater, sometimes you just have to get what's available. If you have the luxury of time, then you could wait. And also, it's hard to ask people now to spend, whatever is 20% more or whatever you said it was. But so I think that I'm all in favor of all this rebuilding as green as possible. And we should have a stretch code in place at some point, but we may need to sort of carve out for some areas in our community and some people that are rebuilding from this, you know, from the loss.
Yeah.
There might be though incentives for doing some of it that we might be able to, the NYSERDA people might be able to explain more too, if there are incentives involved in using any of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be amazing if entities like NYSERDA really had like a great template for, okay, you've just been flooded out. This is how you should rebuild. These are incentives we're giving. It would be great if that existed. I'm personally not finding that. I was really frustrated to have to get like a very run-of-the-mill water heater, but you know, after 2.5 weeks with no hot water, I was like, I'll take whatever on the shelf, because I really wanted like, you know, a hybrid, energy saving, electric. Like,
Yeah.
that just wasn't happening.
And I think Con Ed seems to be the vehicle for a lot of these incentives.
Yes.
So, and they are doing it because they're compelled by the state, not out of their generosity.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
So guys, we only have 10 minutes left, and I want to thank you, Liam. I appreciate you presenting that. And I do think that we all need to just dig in a little deeper, and we could either get a speaker for next week or just do some more research on our own. So I'll let you know what I come up with for that, but thank you. But I do just want to have time to touch on the Foodscribe recycling program, because you know, I have concerns about the program for two reasons. One is, since COVID, our DPW has been closed on Saturdays, which I know has been sort of a hardship for ASAP scraps, hard for them to find drivers on Saturday. And I think even for residents that work, you know, their sort of habit was to, you know, their schedule was that they would go bring it on Saturdays. And now the village has suspended the food scrap recycling program altogether due to Ida. Tom, I don't know if you could speak to that, but I think that people that, like myself, people that are, that's part and parcel what they do. You know, this program's been there for 3 years. So it's hard to ask people, okay, you know, for the next few weeks, just put your food in the trash. Like, this may sound silly, but I can't even imagine doing that. Like, I just, you know, I don't trash my food. It's not trash, it's compost. So I know that the DPW had a lot of water, had a lot of flooding. I know those guys are tremendously busy. And actually that story about Cortland is amazing. But I think that to put that program in jeopardy, we really should think twice about that. You know, maybe Maxwell Avenue could help us out. Maybe we could put a bin somewhere outside the DPW. But I think we should really think hard about just suspending it. I just think that that's not really the right thing to do.
Well, let me just ask Jerry tomorrow how long it will be suspended, because things are starting to come back to normal a little bit at a time.
Okay.
It might not be that much longer.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Because I just, that makes me nervous. I just feel like, you know, we've been trying to get people into the program for 3 years, and now it's like, wait a minute, it's suspended. I just think that that could really hurt the program. So.
Yeah, I think maybe we could just say the sense of the committee is that we would urge the village to restart the program as quickly as possible, and also reopen the recycling center on Saturdays as soon as possible, understanding that there are constraints and there are budgetary issues, but we all think it's an important program. We've all devoted a lot of effort to it, and we'd like to see it continue.
Fair enough.
I mean, I did go down there, you know, during the first week of the flooding. I mean, it was fine. There was no one there. You deposited and you left. I didn't see any commotion. I was really surprised, because for me, it was very accessible. It's just no one was there. I just did it myself. It's not a problem. So I didn't understand. I did send an email because I thought, oh, wow, there's going to be tons of food that people are going to have to scrap. And I got no answer to that email from anyone. No one. Did anyone see that email? Because can you imagine, there was no electricity from midnight till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So a lot of people had to scrap their food. So I just thought, wow, this would be a nice time to, and this has happened before when we had a blackout. And I just think the committee should, or the village, or Robert, who posts things, should, put out an alert. Hey, this is a great time to bring your food to the food scrapping, DPW, and don't throw it in the trash. And this is like, it keeps happening. And there was not from us, not from the village. There was no alert. Hey, do this. Don't throw it in the trash. All your food that's wasted, get it down to DPW. Or like you said, at least if they don't want them going into the lot, then put the bins outside the fence. This way you just pull up, throw it in. But we didn't do that. Nobody, I sent an email.
Well,
thought that-
I think the problem was that everybody was dealing with their own, flooding issues and all of that at the time. Because I saw your email. But the other thing was, I did go there and drop off my stuff, and it was a madhouse.
Oh,
There
I didn't
were
like that.
multiple large vehicles. I had to back up and wait and be directed. I mean, it was a madhouse there when I went. And then like a few hours later, the email came out saying, they're closing down the program. So
Yeah, I think I went right in the beginning days, I think. I don't know.
I waited a few days because I figured it would be real crazy. So I waited and then I went. It was a madhouse.
But I think us as a committee should have some kind of alert that goes out that the village can put out saying whether it's a blackout or any kind of disaster to encourage people to, put their food in the food scrapping. So we should really think about that. God forbid, I hope it doesn't happen anytime soon. But when we had that blackout not long ago, again, nobody encouraged people to scrap. So here we're saying, oh, we're like trying to get this program going. And here we have this opportunity of people getting used to doing that, because if they don't have to trash it, we never responded to it. I think we have to put a
That's a
plan.
good point, Maria. I guess maybe it's on me. I was a little distracted after the storm. So,
But we have I'm just saying to put something in place so that we can kind of look, because now the communication is great with the village and Robert and
Right.
all the emails going out and on the website and on Nextdoor, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Why wasn't something put to, hey, scrap your food?
Yeah.
'Cause it didn't.
Well, everybody should be scrapping their food anyway. We've been talking about this for 3 years, not just when the power goes out. We should be,
This is a way of them to get used to it, because now you have masses of things and you might not do it. You want to do it on a daily basis, but it's
right. I hear what you're saying. I think though that when people are dealing with a crisis, that I don't know that that's the time that they're thinking about starting to recycle their food scraps. I think that it's the people that are in the program that don't want to have disruption with the program, like myself. I want to continue doing what I've been doing. I don't know that that's a time that people are going to start to say, okay, now I want to, get in. I personally feel like we've had this program for 3 years. Our committee has been, sort of blowing in the wind here, trying to get, people into it. I feel like we've plateaued. The tonnage numbers are down. And Tom, but just back to you, it'd be nice to feel like that the village, whether it's, you, Jerry, everybody, the DPW guys, that everybody's truly behind it. It's not like it's there, but that it's like something that everybody should be doing. Like, I know you're out on social media a lot about things like this is a great program. And the way I understand it now is that cost-wise, it's actually, I think, cheaper to pick up the food scraps than it is trash, from what I understand, because isn't county now subsidizing it? So I think it just putting aside, the bad food after this storm, and I get that. I think that just generally speaking, as a village, we've had this for 3 years, and not just our committee, but village government and village management need to really fully embrace this program, because or else you're just going to keep having the same 300 households in the program, and it's never going to flourish, and it should flourish. It's not a cost, and if anything, it's beneficial, and people should not be throwing food in the garbage. It's not
We
garbage.
lost momentum when
It's
we-
beneficial to get it, to have it not be incinerated. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Okay, we lost
And that was a
momentum
missed
when we
opportunity,
lost
but I think generally
Saturday.
we have a larger opportunity here
Right.
that for some reason we just haven't been
Lost
able to.
Saturday, and that's when we lost momentum because, you know, people really want, like we were there volunteering on Saturdays. A lot of people would come there. We've got to get, even if it's a limited amount of time, we've got to get Saturdays back. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's no other non-working like 9 to 5 time. It's all, you know, if you're working, you can't drop off your food scraps.
Right, the Saturday closure has been really just detrimental for sure. And I don't know why our DPW is closed on Saturday, but again, maybe we could have some arrangement with Maxwell. Maybe we could have a reciprocity with Maxwell. But, you know, I'm sure Larchmont people will tell us, you know, I don't know. It just, we need to figure that out better. But anyway, it's 8:59, so I'm going to make a motion to end the meeting. And I thank everybody for attending and being, you know, engaged in everything we're talking about. So I think that's great. And again, hope to see everybody or some of you on Saturday at the fair. Tom, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right.
Great.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys. Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Good night.
Hey.
Thank you.
Good night.